be in that old trophy case. Number 4 still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with Breck Brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are presented by MSU Denver Online. We're live from Studio B. The B stands for Best Team for Hard Knocks. That is what we're going to talk about here in a second. But first, again, a shout out to our presenting sponsor, MSU Denver Online, msudenver.edu/online. It's the place to go to scope out all they have to offer. 75 plus online and hybrid programs, 450 total classes over there. There's something for everyone. And if you are looking to maintain a full-time job while furthering your education, there's no better place than MSU Denver, where students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. Check them out, msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, what's up? Very special pod today. We've got a little birthday on this show.
Oh, wow.
Mase, happy
birthday.
And you know what? It's incredible that all three of us turned 29 this year.
Yes.
I love that.
Big 2-9.
I should have written that for a while. This would also be the 16th anniversary of my 29th birthday.
Well, happy 16th anniversary
Yes,
of your 29th
that's
birthday,
what you
Mase.
celebrate now. I guess, hey, another lap around the sun. Made it.
There you go.
You made it.
Awesome.
You maced it.
Oh, nice. Hopefully I can
What's on the docket?
Oh, I'm here with you guys doing a show.
Love
I'm doing
it.
a radio show this afternoon. I'm finishing a story on why the Broncos need to score 420 points this year.
Nice.
A very Colorado number.
Yes.
And then going out for dinner tonight at Shanahan's,
Oh, buried the lead.
where hopefully I have a nice view of the TV and hopefully the Lightning can finish off the Islanders in Game 6 tonight.
Man, that
That
sounds
made
like
me
a
very
great
happy.
day. So I have to ask, why Shanahan's over Elway? Why'd you choose the coach over the quarterback?
I've simply been to Shanahan's a lot more. The strange thing is Elway's, I go to the airport location when it's open, the one at DIA.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like before a vacation, I'll usually have a meal there. It's kind of a tradition basically that I have before taking off to go to the beach or wherever. But Shanahan's it's kind of, in our house, it's kind of the default nice place. And also they have a seared ahi at Shanahan's that I always order. That is amazing. And I think that's another thing. Shanahan's, the seafood is better there than at Elway's, and I'm more of a seafood guy.
I had this like charred octopus at Shanahan's one time. It was incredible.
Goodness. Oh my goodness, that sounds good.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think Mike Shanahan eats at Shanahan's more than John eats at Elway's?
Eats or drinks?
Oh.
Is consuming something.
No.
I think John probably is at his steakhouse more.
Well, do you remember a few
how
years-
long
yeah.
until we get a Manning's?
Oh,
I'm surprised that hasn't happened already, but would
Is that
he...
too cliche for him?
Oh, but is
Would he
it
do it
just
here?
Payton's, or do they open one in New York, Denver, New
Orleans.
New Orleans, Indianapolis.
Tennessee,
You-
Mississippi?
You do it in Knoxville or Memphis. Now, Memphis, of course, his wife Ashley is a part owner of the Grizzlies, which is why when he did the basketball show on Peyton's Places with Tony Gonzalez and they're on the court in L.A., he's wearing a Memphis Grizzlies
I'm
t-shirt.
realizing that Peyton has roots in so many different places that he might as well just run for president.
Seriously?
Well, do you call it Payton's or you call it Manning's? Do you do it? I think
go Manning's,
it would be the family.
Yeah.
So that's why you say all those. You have to include New York, like you said.
Yep.
Now, New York, because it's New York, might end up being the flagship. With all respect to Denver
Right.
and New Orleans and other places. I mean, it's freaking New York.
New Orleans should be the flagship.
Why
It
does
should
there need to be a flagship? Just the first one?
Not necessarily the first one, just the one that you're going to put the most into. And if you're going to make, if you can make it in New
Peyton
York,
will fight for Denver.
They should do it by Super Bowl rings. You
Yes.
know? Well, no, I guess New York would have two. Denver would have one.
There you go. See,
Yeah. Dang.
New
never
York
mind.
2, Denver 1,
Yeah.
Indy 1, New Orleans none.
Can't have Heisman's be the tiebreaker.
Right.
Although you should be able to. MVPs?
Yeah. Oh. Well, then it's going to be Indy.
It'd be Indy would be, and he's already got a restaurant presence in Indy because he's part owner of Harry and Izzy's, out there, along with the people from St. Elmo. Payton has a partnership with those guys.
I didn't realize that. I thought that was just like the same place.
Well, they share a kitchen, like downtown, because St. Elmo's and Harry and Izzy are next door, so they kind of go back and forth on the kitchen, but the menus are different, except the big thing, of course, is you can get the shrimp cocktail at both. And I think you can get the Elmo Cola as well at Harry and Izzy's like you can over at St. Elmo's.
Which is just a very expensive whiskey Coke.
But it's great. You got the cherry.
$15
You got the
whiskey
cherry.
Coke.
Hey, you got to live a little, man.
It's got the name, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why the RK special costs $15. Oh, no, it's the same price. What am I doing?
But you got the beer, though, on the RK special, whereas you got it's the hard liquor in the Elmo Cola. I mean, because you're bringing the whiskey.
We talked about how if someone doesn't like IPAs, they can do an RK bomb where it's Strawberry Sky and then just what if it's a normal RK special, 50-50, what hard liquor are you dropping in for, like, what do we call it, like a hard RK or so? Well, probably not that.
I think it depends. You do a Mexican RK with tequila, right?
Oh, yes.
You do, what would be some, if it's going to be gin, maybe do you do a, I don't know.
None of this will be good, I can assure you.
The Mexican,
There's going to be no good names either.
English RK, I mean.
I think rum would be the best. I don't know why.
Caribbean RK.
Okay. That works.
Let's
Island
not
RK.
even try.
You got to go something creamy. I know you're trying to get us back on
now
track,
we're back to a hard RK.
Well, what do we do if it's Kahlua?
Oh, boy.
Okay, let's
this is off the rails
hard
here.
arcade tonight.
Let's drive this back on the rails. Everyone's here for some good football discussion. So let's talk about Hard Knocks.
Hey.
Speaking of hard,
Oh my god!
Wow, this is hard hitting today.
Wow, yes, this is the epitome of journalism. All right, so there are rumors abound that the Broncos could be the team for Hard Knocks this year. We know they're eligible. And Zach, what is the eligibility requirements?
Criteria: can't make the playoffs the past 2 years and can't have a rookie head coach. I guess what I should say, I shouldn't say can't, but you're not forced to do Hard Knocks if one of those things happen. You can volunteer yourself to be on Hard Knocks, but that just doesn't happen because coaches and teams don't want to be on Hard Knocks, but they can force you to be on Hard Knocks. If you haven't made the playoffs last 2 years, Broncos fit that. And if you don't have a rookie head coach, Broncos fit that.
Yeah, and they've been eligible now for what? 4 straight years?
no, because they wouldn't, not in 2019.
Oh, because new
So
coach.
it would have been not in 2017 because they were also they had new coach and they were just a year removed from the playoffs. So it would have been 18, 20. This is the third time that they have been eligible since these rules came into place.
What's worse, the past 5 years of Broncos football or being eligible so many times but not getting chosen? You know, because that just means you're
it's
bad
like, I mean,
and boring.
but that's what we've been saying for a
Yeah,
couple
it's not a
years now.
surprise.
Bad and boring is the problem.
Yeah.
Bad and exciting and controversy and touchdowns and
Be great for this pod.
yeah, exactly. That's what people are looking for. Bad and boring doesn't do much. And I believe that's a Migos song.
Yes, and I mean, fitting for the Broncos with Migos. What are some controversial things that have happened? The first one that pops in my head is Chad Kelly. Halloween.
Yes.
Obviously, that wouldn't be covered on Hard Knocks. But I mean, like, off the field, there hasn't been much. On the field, obviously hasn't been much.
The off-field stuff that's most interesting doesn't lend itself to Hard Knocks, and that, of course, is the ownership drama. And that is one. Now, we saw with the Raiders in 2019 what a whitewashed Hard Knocks looks like, where basically it was an hour-long weekly advertisement for Raider Nation and the greatness of the Raiders and yada, yada, yada. And it was terrible. That Hard Knocks kind of lacked any of the drama that we usually see from it. Not even when they were meeting to set the roster. I mean, everything was just sanitized to a point where it was unwatchable. So even though you have the lawsuit, which begins, I believe, on the 12th of July.
Yep.
and based on the timeline, it could go well into training camp. Even though you have that, if you had a Broncos Hard Knocks, I imagine it'd be barely mentioned, even though I would say it would be irresponsible for a Hard Knocks to not mention that. And you do wonder if maybe the league, knowing that's going to be in play, might say, okay, this isn't the time for the Broncos. Because in the background, you do have, like, just literally next door in Arapahoe County Court, you're going to have this lawsuit going on.
Or this is the time for the Broncos in terms of drama. Now, who chooses? Does the NFL choose or does Hard Knocks? Like, does HBO?
NFL Films is involved because HBO and NFL Films kind of produce it and distribute it, and then the NFL kind of has the final say on it. Now, just because you're not you can't turn it down doesn't mean you can't go on. Like, for example, the Rams didn't have to do it last year.
Right.
And they chose to be one of the teams on there. The Chargers, same thing, because they were in the playoffs in 2018. They didn't have to. In both cases last year, though, you had teams that volunteered to be on there.
Wow. And one team that's not on the list, which we'll get to in a second, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe they just volunteer themselves. Wow. I mean, heck, you're in Jacksonville. If you want more publicity, that could be something, especially if you're thinking about maybe moving to London. I mean, that could kind of make sense. Yeah.
Storyline.
Tebow, Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, if I'm the NFL or Hard Knocks and the Jags say, can we be on? I say absolutely. I don't even look at this list.
I don't care about the market size. I think if you were saying, okay, anybody could be in consideration, the Jags are at worst, top 3 on this list because of all that you mentioned? And frankly, there's some train wreck potential with the Jaguars because of Urban Meyer.
Oh,
and how we've already seen some missteps with them. But again, these organizations, they kind of sanitize it now. So are we going to get the moments like we had years ago? Like, remember the Bengals in 2009? One of the things that was interesting about that was how their dysfunction was at times on display. Like, for example, the players check into training camp at Georgetown College in Kentucky, and they have to pay to rent televisions, which is completely Bush League. I was a part of organizations for 3 camps on campuses, 2 Carolina, 1 for the last Bronco camp in Greeley, and you walked in the room, there was already a TV waiting for you. And the other thing, remember with the Bengals, they had that guy, Jim Lippincott, who would go and had the subtlety of a chainsaw in cutting players. He showed up at one guy's door at like 5:15 in the morning, knocked, and like, the poor guy is groggy. Hello, yeah. I just want to let you know that we're releasing you.
No way.
We at the Bengals, we only cut player. We only make roster moves based on performance, nothing else. And gave him his flight info and said he had to be on a shuttle to the airport in like an hour.
Oh my God.
And so you saw little things like that are like, yeah, this is why the Bengals lose. This is why the Bengals are a laughingstock. Now, then they were on 4 years later, and they kind of cleaned some of those things up a little bit.
Right. They like took the chance to try to clean their reputation. Well, I remember when they went, they followed the Rams on the move from St. Louis to L.A.
Yes.
Their first year there, and that was like the Jared Goff, Case Keenum.
Jared Goff didn't know what direction the sun set.
Yes.
Jeff Fisher, that was the infamous 7-9 bullshit.
Yes, of
quote
course.
that now hangs from him like an anvil.
Well, and they would have their players like doing a workout, and then they would just send one of the coaches in there to like tap them on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Which again, I just thought, like, why not just like have it be a time when everyone's home and you can just call them so they don't have to be embarrassed in front of all, like, right. That's already got to be such a shitty feeling.
Yep.
And
it's like when the teacher comes into the classroom and says, Johnny, principal wants to see you.
Exactly, 100%. So like they see the guy walk in like he's the Grim Reaper, and he's just walking around and they're all just like side-eyeing to hoping he's not walking towards them. And, you see the guy, like, as he gets closer and closer and closer, just freezes, and he's like, Coach Fisher needs to talk to you. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, again, have everyone at the hotel and then call them in. Can you come bring your iPad and whatever?
Most teams do it that way, though. I know that the Broncos historically do it that way unless there's kind of a time constraint. But when on that day, the Broncos team, as long as I've covered them, has just gone ahead and they've called guys at the hotel on the day on the day off after the last preseason game or whatever, and they've told them, okay, you need to come in and meet with John Elway, meet with Vic Fangio, meet with whoever. Yeah,
That's
the way you do it. That's
Yes.
the proper way.
Yeah,
To their credit.
It is. And since we're talking about the Broncos, let's rank these teams because there's 5 teams that are eligible, including Broncos. Let's rank them in the second segment. Let's break down right now why the Broncos would be the best team or just wouldn't be the best team just internally, because there are a lot of things. Mase mentioned the ownership situation. That court case is going to be going on. I don't think that would be interesting, but it's something that maybe Hard Knocks has a camera in there, and if there's a fight between the family in the courtroom or something like that, then you know that's going on. But I don't think in terms of a TV show that would be much, but I think on the field there's a lot.
There's the quarterback competition.
Yep.
And that's one reason why it's intriguing. And we have seen quarterback competitions on Hard Knocks. I think the one that jumps to mind, remember, I think it was Miami in the year that Ryan Tannehill got there. And they brought in David Garrard. Remember him?
Oh,
in
yeah.
Jacksonville?
Oh, yeah.
Garrard was the veteran. Tannehill was the guy they just picked, and Tannehill and ended up winning the job and going out there right away. So a quarterback competition, even if when you're talking about one guy who was average to lower mid tier and another guy who was bottom 2 to 5 quarterbacks last year, that creates an element of drama that does make the Broncos interesting.
It does.
It's something to kind of chronicle from week to week. Now, then, from a Hard Knocks perspective, how much can they get into? And that's where you have to see how willing the quarterbacks are to kind of cooperate. Because if neither Teddy nor Drew wants to play along with the cameras being around, then from a show perspective, a narrative perspective, it's not going to be what it is. So you hope that if Hard Knocks did come to the Broncos, that both Teddy and Drew be willing to peel back the curtain a little bit on this.
Well, and then, Hard Knocks will be poking around to other players trying to get some info on Teddy or Drew, whose side you're on. They would at least try to build that narrative. Who knows if they'd be able to. And I got to give credit to my guy Alamo on the Rise for pointing this out to me yesterday. Mase, you remember what you put the over-under on Aaron Rodgers being traded yesterday, the day?
August 8th.
August 8th. Boy, now that would fall right in the middle of Hard Knocks. How juicy would that be for an Aaron Rodgers trade to happen, week 2 of Hard Knocks? You get the behind the scenes of George Payton making the call. You'd have the players reacting. You'd have George Payton telling the guys who are being traded back to Minnesota. You'd have Aaron Rodgers coming to you
walking into the locker room.
It all.
Imagine Aaron Rodgers walking into the locker room for the first time.
Yes.
And that's on camera.
Now, it's risky because Hard Knocks doesn't know that that's going to happen, but if they could know that that trade was going to happen, I think the Broncos are the number 1 team by far. It's easy, but the thought of potentially getting that and having that behind-the-scenes look would be huge.
Yeah. I mean, based on what the Broncos are right now, I don't think they're number 1. But if you're the NFL, and Hard Knocks ratings have declined the last couple of years. Like I mentioned, the Raiders version in 19, it was uncompelling. I mean, you had Antonio Brown there and all the craziness regarding him, and yet the Raiders just polished that thing to within an inch of its life, and it was boring. I mean, it was like Antonio Brown was a non-factor, but here are all these other fringe guys that are battling for spots. But like every week, it's like, what about the AB circus? And they just ignored it. So a key would be to be open and transparent enough to allow this drama to play itself out.
Right.
And if the Broncos are, then maybe this is a Hail Mary that the NFL throws to say, okay, Aaron Rodgers could be coming here. This could make for maybe the kind of moment that Hard Knocks has lacked in recent years. Because I think there has been kind of a decline in how compelling it has been. I mean, all the moments we think of from Hard Knocks, they're from like a decade ago.
Yeah.
We think about like remember Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco getting cut. Remember I talked about the Bengals stuff. Rex Ryan, let's go eat a goddamn snack. Almost all of these great iconic moments from Hard Knocks they're 8 to 12 years in the past.
Bill O'Brien with the what did he say? I freaking love Rick Ross or something like
that. Yeah, we get these little glimpses of personality. We don't get like these huge dramatic football moments.
You know what we all need? We all need the Patriots to miss the playoffs again this year and then be forced to do Hard Knocks next year. How incredible.
I think Bill Belichick would quit to avoid that. So the Patriots would have Josh McDaniels going into the big chair and they wouldn't have to do it next year.
Good God. I feel like he would like try to like sue them. Like,
right.
You know,
yes, he would.
Like he's like, under no circumstances is this happening. I will take this to the Supreme Court.
I feel like he may quit in order to avoid it.
Probably.
Retire.
Probably. Doesn't want those HBO cameras seeing where the bodies are buried.
Exactly. And we know there's a lot.
Yes, there are plenty. So you've got the bowling stuff, which again, like maybe gets 5 minutes on the first episode or something.
They won't mention it much, and certainly if the Broncos have some ability to review this,
want it. Yeah,
maybe they're like
they want like Brittany Boland to look really good in it.
Right, that's what the Broncos would do. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, if it happens, obviously that's a all-time Hard Knocks moment.
Yep.
Drew and Teddy, is that? I mean, I go back to like Jared Goff versus Case Keenum. It's basically what that was.
It wasn't the most interesting thing.
It wasn't very good.
Right. And what do you want? A big quarterback like a Dak Prescott to headline the show,
or Kyler Murray in Arizona?
Right.
Both those guys are pretty dull.
Or do you want a quarterback competition that may not be that juicy? I think competitions would drive the show. But I think it comes down to who is Drew Lock going to be in this competition in terms of his personality and how much he's willing to show on Hard Knocks. Because we know Teddy. I mean, he's going to be nice and happy, and that's pretty much, unless Teddy starts, surprising everyone, dropping F-bombs left and right. But if Drew's fiery, then that would drive it.
Yeah.
But
Drew would be a good character.
I think he would be a good character, or as Case Keenum's wife would say, a good person.
Not a character. You heard that story?
What?
So I watched that season that we were just talking about,
the
Hard Knocks, the Rams season, and that was 2 seasons before Case came to Denver.
Yeah.
And like Allie's favorite part of the show was that she would remember they were in the kitchen, she was quizzing him.
Yes.
So I said I loved your guys' season of Hard Knocks, you were my girlfriend's favorite character. And she said, I'm not a character, I'm a person.
Oh.
He's trying to compliment you.
Kidding
yeah,
me?
but the problem is character is a fictional character. You're not a character on a documentary.
Yes, you are.
No.
What are you?
You're a person. You're you. You're playing yourself. You're not
playing yourself.
You're a fictional. If it's fiction, you're a fictional character. If it's nonfiction, documentary, you are yourself.
The fact that would be, if someone said you're my favorite character on the Broncos podcast, I would be like, oh, thanks so much.
I'm a human.
Yeah,
I'm a human.
I'm a person. Not
Or maybe they didn't like the experience of Hard Knocks. Maybe they thought
Clearly not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it sort of.
She felt it
struck a nerve.
characterized her wrong.
I'm just gonna chime in here as someone who used to edit documentaries. We referred to people as characters all the time.
Let's go. I mean,
how do the documentary subjects feel about this, or do they not know that you're calling him a character?
I think it's more a production aspect.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
But one thing we always talk about here is being a character in the DNVR universe. We all play our role in that goes beyond the Broncos podcast. It's the DNVR world. We're all characters of that. I don't think that should be seen as a bad thing.
No, I don't think so. That was so funny though. I don't even know how we got here.
It was so awkward. All right, so anything else that you think would be a top notch? Von Miller's comeback.
I was gonna say that's one thing that they would certainly hype because Von Miller's going to play the Hard Knocks game. He's going to be a great person.
And who are the and that's where it comes to personalities.
He would be a character because he's doing whatever they're telling him.
Shelby Harris would be a personality on there. Quinn Miners has personality.
As a backup,
As
you
a
wonder
backup.
if, because he's already started to think about hiding the belly. You
There,
wonder
yeah,
if he
but
would do
there
that.
are always these backups, these fringe guys that in a good Hard Knocks season
Right.
end up emerging and
Kendall
becoming.
Hinton.
Kendall
Yeah.
Hinton.
Storyline.
Now Kendall Hinton, that's the guy that there's all in a good Hard Knocks. There's always that one fringe guy that you're
Everyone's
nervous
rooting for.
might be cut,
gets
might
cut,
not.
unfortunately.
Kendall Hinton, if he's willing to kind of again pull back the curtain and let NFL films and Hard Knocks in, that's one where it has the potential to be that dramatic moment on the last show. Whether does he make the team, does
Right.
he not make the team,
Yep.
and the whole world ends up rooting for him.
Yeah.
I wonder who's the guy that, like, based on the way they edit the show, you think is going to be really good, so you draft them in your fantasy league, and then they end up being completely useless.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Tyree Cleveland.
Interesting.
I don't want to say it, but KJ Hamler, because he just doesn't, he gets
Doesn't-
hurt.
KJ's a big personality too.
Yes, he would steal it. You're right.
He would
steal
love the cameras.
Yes, he would. How would Vic and George? They'd be pretty bad, right? In terms of just hard.
Vic
knocks.
might drop if they have him, if they have the cameras in the meetings. Vic might drop some kind of unintentional, old school sage type of wisdom and humor that actually might play well.
Honestly, the HBO demo is definitely not anything like the DNVR demo.
Right,
So, like,
right.
the people that are watching this
It's the,
probably love Vic.
Yeah, you're right.
the HBO demo is basically kind of starts at my age.
Yeah.
Right,
It's my like
I was gonna say
my
like 50
my
plus.
parents watch a lot of HBO.
Yeah, same with my parents.
right. And so does George fall into that as well?
So, I actually think he'd be great on the show.
Wow.
And even the fact that he's like letting them do this like behind the Broncos
Yeah,
series tells me
that's
like
true.
he knows
a good point.
how to like market himself and market the team through himself. So I think he'd play it up. I think he would.
Yeah. What do we think John would be like?
I think he would be down to like have like a punchline.
Right.
Like he like finishes the deal for Aaron Rodgers, hangs up, he's like, and that's a done deal. You know, like,
Maybe
John?
that's how he walks off in the sunset.
Yeah.
It's on camera. He completes the deal for Aaron Rodgers, and then he's just like, "All right, see ya,
he
I'm
winks
out."
at the camera.
He would so wink.
Throws up
And, that,
the
and that's
deuces.
and that's the end of his day-to-day football life is getting Aaron Rodgers to Denver.
Yeah, he hangs up
Yeah.
the phone and is like, "All right, George, I'm out." And George's like, "All right, see you tomorrow." He's like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm out."
Go out on a high. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
The John Elway way.
Oh man, so we built it up where the Broncos could be the best team.
I mean, they have a case. I think they have a case for an interesting show. And the fact that Hard Knocks, as May said before the show, has just become an advertisement for the team and, you know, how great they are and their awesome culture and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Kind of makes sense for them.
Yeah, it does. It
And
does.
again, I think George Payton, like John Elway, he never did anything like this behind the Broncos series they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted
point.
anyone in his business. And I think George Payton would probably welcome it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I wonder what the odds would be set at. Well, I guess we'll get into those the other teams, and maybe we can set our own odds for this. But guys, should we get into our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week really quick?
Let's do that.
My pick, guys, it got even juicier. I identified
really
one
excited
yesterday.
about this pick. You've been
I'm
hyping it
very
up all
excited.
morning.
Even mentioned it on the pod yesterday, but didn't say what it was. I'm going Clippers to win the series.
Whoa.
Plus 575. I liked it yesterday right before they lost. It was plus 300. They were down 1-0, and I feel better about it after
What?
last night's loss because of
Okay.
just how close it was.
How close it was, yes, but who is more likely to play going forward in the series, Kawhi Leonard or Chris Paul?
You know, Chris Paul is just a matter of time.
Right,
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Paul,
Paul.
every indication is he's going to be back for game 3.
Yeah.
We don't have that same indication on Kawhi. Hey, I like the bold pick. I don't know if Kawhi is going to miss at least a couple more games. I
She
don't.
probably will.
Yeah. How do the Clippers go 4-1 in the next 5 with 2 of the games in Phoenix? That's the question.
And here's what they have to obviously win both at home.
Yeah.
The next 2 games back at home. And then so I'm not saying the Clippers are going to come back, but I love the plus 575. I honestly thought yesterday when it was just 1-0 that they would have been like plus 150 in the series. They were plus 300. Today being down 2-0, I thought they'd be like plus 350. So I love that it's plus 575.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm definitely taking value here.
That and I can't blame you
hate
for
your
doing it,
pick.
but it's oh man.
I think they're getting swept.
Oh, wow. So the series ends before it even comes back to Phoenix.
Yep, Suns in 4.
Well, and oh no, you didn't. You didn't.
By the way, the Valley Oop, as it's being called now, that's what's going to go down in history.
Valley Oop.
Yeah,
That's
I think it was
fire.
Matt Weiner had that last night, so I got to give credit to him. But that, I mean,
Suns are having a branding extravaganza.
Yes,
Oh, my-
they are.
they're branding extravagance, and I mean, and actually the last 2 games winning without Chris Paul. Yes, there's no Kawhi out there. This is like the best thing for them long term because
Yeah.
CP3. I mean, how many years is he going to be there? Basically 2-3
Didn't
years.
Campaign lead them in scoring last
Yeah,
night?
yeah, 2-3 years tops. But but clearly you can see how his impact is going to go far beyond the length of his career because
Yeah.
he's made that team.
Yeah.
Like he's turned this raw collection of talent into a unit, and a unit that someday when he's not there will function well without him. I mean, yeah, the last thing the Nuggets needed was another power in the West, but here we are.
Yep.
Phoenix Suns have entered the chat, and they're not going away.
It's true, man. Vegas or DraftKings
Yeah.
agrees with you, Ryan. They say Phoenix to sweep is plus 260, nearly 3 times better than my prediction.
Wow. I still like that. I might take that.
And then
Do we know when they're going to get CP3 back?
I don't think
The rumblings are game 3.
Oh, well.
It's over. Take the plus 260. That might be my pick. You know what?
Hey, there we go.
I'll do it. I was going to say the under in the first 5 innings of the Rockies game, but that's not as fun. So I'm going Suns in 4, plus 260.
Suns,
You're
I
going
cannot
Suns in
believe you're
4.
doing Suns in 4.
Well, the Suns in 4 guy went to see you, so I get to claim
Oh,
him.
he did. Yes.
All right, I'm doing an under. I'm doing a baseball under, but I'm not doing the Rockies. Braves, Mets. The Braves, I mean, this is actually pretty remarkable here. The Braves have gone 3-2 in their last 5. They played, by the way, doubleheaders Sunday against the Cardinals, Monday against the Mets. In the midst of that, going up against Jacob deGrom, who had a no-hitter going into the 5th inning. And in these 5 games, the Braves are 3-2, and they haven't scored more than 3 runs in any of the games. And you're going against the Mets, and it's an over-under of 4.5. Hey, I love my team, but against the Mets, they've struggled to find runs no matter who's pitching. I mean, Marcus Stroman had a hip issue and had to leave after the 1st inning last night, and the Braves still only got 3 runs going up against Johnny Holstaff the rest of the way. I got to take the under tonight on Braves Mets 4.5 runs for the Braves.
Johnny Holstaff carried the whole staff.
Yeah, basically.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say he had a full staff.
Yeah. I mean, the Braves won, but they got everything was on a 3-run homer by Dansby Swanson. Aside from that, the bats were silent. So the Mets as a unit, as a pitching staff, have Atlanta's number. So I'm taking the under on 4.5 runs tonight.
Fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Tell us more.
Let's talk about I guess the other 4 teams in contention.
Well, I just thought you were going to tell us
yes,
a little
of
more
course,
about
of course.
DraftKings.
I
Yes,
have
please
to tell you
do.
about DraftKings. Of course, there's no better place to get in on all of these odds. And one of the reasons I love DraftKings is the daily odds boost that they have. I love the lines that we gave, but you can also jump on there. And let's say there's a line that you're like, man, I really want to bet on this, but it's just not that great. Well, you can hit it up on an odds boost and the odds will be better. And there you go. That's what I love about DraftKings. It makes every night interesting over there. So whether you want to bet on baseball, basketball, hockey, you can do that right now over at DraftKings Sportsbook, and they're giving new users the opportunity to tune $1 into $100 in site credits. All you have to do is pick a basketball team that's still in contention. If they win, you turn $1 into $100 in site credits, so make sure to check them out. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in site credits over at DraftKings Sportsbook, and if they win, you'll get $100 in free credits. That's promo code DNVR for the limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
So we had the DNVR Golf League over at Common Ground yesterday, and our friends over at Breck Brew came through with this like sick Titleist Breck Brew bag, gave that out to people, and then they said, hey, and make sure you go to the bar after your guys' rounds. We bought you guys all a round of beers. So I went there, and I'm kind of a creature of habit. So, when I find a Breck Brew that I like, I just hammer it and hammer and hammer it. And the seltzers came, I've just been drinking those. I hadn't really delved into the summer pills.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I feel like I've had it maybe once before, but yesterday I had it ice cold right off the golf course. I was like, this is
Over ice?
This is an elite. No, this is an elite beer. Like, I don't know. I don't know how I was missing out on it. It's exactly what it is. It's a summer pills and it's perfect.
It's crisp.
Yes.
Especially cold.
Yep.
Crisp and cold.
I had to have another one. I had to have two. It was that good. So hit up our friends at Breck Brew. I feel like they're the kings of summer beers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they absolutely are. Can you get an RK Special off-site yet?
Oh, like in a can?
No, like at a different bar. Will they know what that is?
The farmhouse.
Do they know yet?
I'm not sure.
We should at least tell the farmhouse about the RK Special.
I think they know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's we were told by the Breck rep one day here at the bar that there are very split feelings on the RK Special at the Breck campus over there. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Some people take the Shelby Harris approach.
Which is just so crazy to me because I had only gotten love and adoration for a whole year about it, but I feel like a lot of people were just suppressing their feelings.
Wow, the haters are coming out.
Yeah, slowly but surely. But
that means it's popular.
Exactly.
Right?
You never get a bad review on your podcast until it starts getting popular.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so hit up our friends at Breck Brew and get yourself some summer beers. They're the kings of summer beers.
Also want to tell you about becoming a DNVR member because, of course, among the perks of being a member, if you want to try that RK Special, here at the DNVR Bar, you can get a big beer for the price of a small beer. And that does include the RK Special, right?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Now, if we start adding shots of tequila, I'm not sure it's going to. Yeah, it might. We might have to adjust the pricing there a little bit. But DNVR has the most in-depth coverage for your pro Denver teams, as you may know by listening to this podcast. But there are so many more perks to becoming a DNVR member. We just keep adding. For example, I mentioned the big beer for the price of a small beer. Also, you can join our DNVR Golf League. If you missed the initial sign-up, we'll have opportunities for you to join week to week depending on what course the DNVR Golf League is on. So follow DNVR Golf on Twitter for all those updates. There's the members-only Discord. You can talk about your favorite Denver teams without all the crap on social media. If you come on down to the DNVR Bar for a watch party, you get extra raffle tickets to win free gear. Be sure and mention that you're a member when you're here. You can talk in the Discord. You can talk with us. You can talk with diehard fans like yourself. You get a free DNVR shirt from the DNVR Locker. You get weekly member discounts on the DNVR Locker and also with our partners, and a chance to join us on a live podcast. Of course, we have the Red Zone on Fridays as part of Three Ring Circus. If you're a member, you get a chance to join that. And as you all know, the chance to comment on our podcast as well. We have the comment section coming up here later in the show. All these great reasons why you should become a DNVR member today and join our family.
Awesome. All right. Zach kind of teased it a little bit there, but let's talk about some of the other candidates for Hard Knocks and see if really the Broncos are the best one. So lay it out for us, Zach.
Carolina Panthers are one.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so the Sam Darnold vaccine hesitancy thing, Christian McCaffrey.
No. I mean, to me, maybe the biggest storyline would be that long snapper that was so excited to be drafted. Did you see the video?
That, no.
Oh man, Matt, was it? Did you see it,
Rule?
Mase?
I know the video that you're talking about.
I think it was Matt Rule that called him, and he's like, "Hey, whatever his name is, you ready to come to Carolina?"
It was Thomas Fletcher, from Alabama.
Thomas Fletcher, and he's
Even
like,
Alabama gets their long snapper.
exactly, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting to figure out which direction I'm gonna go after the draft." And he's like, "No, you're coming to Carolina." And he's like, "Yeah, still, just waiting to see what offers are coming in. I'd like to do that." He's like, "We just drafted you." And Tom's like, "Bro, freaking, you know what? Bro, you've got it. No way, bro."
I actually liked that pick. Funny. I thought it was cool for a lot of reasons, but I mean, because we had kind of a lack of info on late round undrafted guys this year because of the pandemic and short seasons. I mean, basically late round 5 and on was a crapshoot unlike we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
And they picked a guy who maybe you wouldn't ordinarily draft a long snapper, but someone who's probably going to make their team. But that being said, it doesn't make it a compelling Hard Knock story. Is Sam Darnold a compelling Hard Knock story? That's, I think, where this would start.
No.
The redemption tale of Darnold.
I mean, look, they can make it work, but it's
Right.
not anything that I think even the average NFL fan is excited about.
I really don't like the Panthers in this. I think Matt Rule would be good. I don't think the quarterback's good. I think Christian McCaffrey, the player, is really good. I don't think Christian McCaffrey, the character, would be great. The person, right? And then who else is there that like jumps out?
I mean, you've got good players. I mean, like when they go in their base package, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson are good wide receivers. Are they good personalities? Though that's the
Robbie
thing.
Anderson, maybe.
Actually, you know who might be the most interesting personality on that team? Is the owner,
Right.
David Tepper.
Count me out. Let's move on.
Which is probably why they come in 5th on this list with all respect to Tepper.
So I'm giving the Broncos the nod over them.
Definitely.
You guys as well. Okay, now we have the Ryan's Arizona Cardinals. Of course, you got Cliff, you've got Kyler, you've got the desert.
You've got J.J. Watt.
Oh God, and they already loved him on a season of Hard Knocks.
He already made one Hard Knocks.
Yeah, he was. He loved that.
Like gasoline on a flame is that
Yes.
experience for JJ.
The only problem with them is that Kyler is really boring. Like he's not a good interview. He's not exciting. He doesn't really like show his personality ever. Now maybe they could bring it out of him and turn it around, but Cliff
his
is
personality in football things though, right?
Cliff is so good. Not really.
Like when he's playing, like on the field, we see his we see glimpses. That's what I mean. Maybe we see him in those
practice,
glimpses in
yeah.
practice as well. That it opens up something on him that we haven't seen before.
That's possible. The thing is, like Cliff is. I mean, he can take the whole show.
Yeah.
And he would probably love to do so.
And he'd be the
Joseph
focal point
as well.
Yeah, we get Vance.
Oh, God. I don't really know if
No
he
cold
makes the
is
show.
no cold is tough. Quotes coming from the
That's why he
summer
took
in
that
Phoenix.
job.
Yeah, seriously.
Who else? I mean, like I said, you
DeAndre?
could build the whole thing around Cliff and JJ,
Yeah.
and everyone else can just be cameos.
It's really true that man, and they would be able to sell some people.
They
too.
can also like drill into the Texans drama
Oh, yep.
with
they would.
JJ and DeAndre.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a really good candidate.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only downside is Kyler is just, he's probably the biggest name
Yeah.
other than JJ Watt,
Yeah.
and he's just not.
They haven't re-signed Fitz yet, have they?
Is he not
no.
under contract? I think he is.
Did they sign a 2-year last year?
Thought so.
Did he retire?
Yeah,
He
seriously.
hasn't
What's
retired, no.
is he at the University of Phoenix?
They already got his degree from there. He's a free agent right now.
Really?
They haven't signed him, yeah.
Oh.
He probably was like, "Don't sign me before OTA."
Seriously.
Yeah, it's setting up for that dramatic return when he just inks a deal
Okay,
on the
so there's
that's your opening show.
Let's wait for Hard Knocks.
And Fitz, can carry something like this.
Yeah.
He's got the personality.
Yeah.
Also, did you see that he took Eli and Peyton's money on the golf course a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Peyton's a good golfer. Also, did you see Peyton was tubing in Steamboat this weekend?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you missed him
Went
just
down-
by a couple weeks.
I know. Went down the Yampa
Wow. How'd he look?
like he was living the dream. I was actually pretty surprised to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was just like, really? Peyton had like a free weekend? He just went to Steamboat?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing a button-up shirt.
He's
Nope. He's wearing a bucket hat. And,
Of course.
He's Mr.
Army
Colorado
Navy
now,
game,
guys. I mean,
he really is.
Yeah.
like
I feel like he's going on like a tour to show just how Colorado he
right?
is.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
do you
I
make him an honorary native if he stays here in Colorado?
I don't know, Zach. What do we think? We're the committee on this.
If he stays here, yeah, I think
Okay.
we have to.
I think that's fair.
I like that. I like being on the committee.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
Colorado Native Committee.
born and raised. Yeah, I mean, you'll take Peyton in any club that you can get him in.
That's a great point.
He's an honorary DNVR member.
Maybe he is without even needing the honorary.
True. If he wants to prove just how Colorado he is, start rocking DNVR
It's
gear.
true, man. We can
Come
even
on,
hook 'em
come
up.
on down to the bar, Peyton.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
All right, so we putting the Cardinals ahead of the Broncos, or where are you with the
Yeah,
quarterback?
yeah. I'm thinking they're probably ahead.
Yeah, I am as well.
If we could guarantee a trade for Aaron Rodgers, well then the Broncos are the easy choice, number one, no matter what.
Now, what happens if an Aaron Rodgers trade happens before training camp, so they don't get that on camera?
Still,
I agree.
Then the whole thing is Aaron Rodgers being in Denver.
Yep, and then also just like with J.J. Watt drawing on the Houston drama, Aaron Rodgers drawing on Green Bay's drama.
Also, like NFL Films, HBO, whoever probably calls the Broncos is like, look, we're doing this.
right.
The second that the trade news comes in, they're like,
Right.
we're sending our cameras there right now.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Or they can just send
definitely
NFL Films cameras and
Right.
use the footage.
already there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I agree with you guys. Cardinals above the Broncos. New York Football Giants. Guys, when I think about this, the only reason this team makes any sense is because of the city, New York.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is compelling besides Saquon's return.
Daniel Jones fighting for his professional life.
But he's not even
He's
competing
so
against
boring,
anyone
too.
else.
Right.
Right.
You know?
He's running unopposed.
Yeah, he's running unopposed to save his job, and we won't know anything about it until after Hard Knocks is done.
They would actually be a better candidate for All or Nothing because the Daniel Jones
That follows them through the
storyline,
season.
right? Because the Daniel Jones storyline isn't going to be defined in camp. It's
Right.
going to be defined over the course of the season.
Even then, it's still so boring. No one cares about Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
Literally.
I agree. And their coach is, doing the cheesy things. He's trying to be Bill Belichick, but then also do his own thing, and it's just become really.
He's trying to
cheesy.
become like a kinder, gentler Bill Belichick, almost like a more positive Belichick.
right. I'm
But
not saying
I
he's a
don't know
bad
that's
coach.
that. But that's not necessarily compelling.
Oh, it's not.
Nothing
Hard
about them
Knocks.
is compelling.
It's not.
Can you even name another star other than Saquon?
They brought in Kyle Rudolph.
A star other than Saquon?
I was
They
even-
brought in Kenny Galladay. Is he a star?
He wants
I mean,
to be,
he-
but
he
he
was
was
getting
trapped
paid
in.
like
He was
it.
huge for me in fantasy a couple of years ago, so I kind of love Kenny Galladay. But
That's funny that you mentioned Kyle Rudolph because I was going to mention another tight end, and maybe it just shows you just how few stars they really have.
Evan Ingram, their base package is going to be
exactly.
too tight this year.
That's what Hard Knocks. Too
Kenny
tight.
Galladay is probably the next biggest one, and I guarantee you the average NFL fan doesn't even know who he is unless they play fantasy.
Unless they play fantasy, yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, no. So no.
So they're out.
Giants, absolutely.
I
not.
actually put them behind Carolina.
Gosh,
Yeah,
If it
I
wasn't
would-
for the city, I guess.
I would as well. Just the Giants. I
But
would
I'm
put 'em
I'm sure
behind.
the people at HBO are saying
Yep.
but New York.
Yep, exactly. And now last one. It's kind of the same thing, but Dallas. Dallas, big market. The Dallas Cowboys, and they are more compelling on the field as well, and with their personalities and characters, because you've got, the Mike McCarthy situation, just interesting with him. You've got Dak coming back. Obviously, that would be the biggest storyline. And then you also do have some big names.
You have Zeke, and then
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones,
Yeah.
and this is the other thing for
They've done the Cowboys,
they've done the Cowboys, but Jerry Jones, one of his mantras is that any publicity is good publicity, even when it doesn't reflect favorably on the team.
Yep.
He just simply wants the Cowboys to be dominant in the news cycle, and from a Hard Knocks
Working for
perspective,
20 years.
yeah, from a Hard Knocks perspective, this is the Cowboys from the top down are an organization that will let their warts be displayed. So that's where you get the potential for drama and not being sanitized. So from a Hard Knocks perspective, from an entertainment of the viewer perspective, I think the Cowboys are probably the top of this list here.
Man, Dak is not a good character for this. I just don't think he plays up to the camera at all. Zeke would, I think.
Oh, yeah.
CeeDee Lamb, does that?
Maybe.
The receivers in general, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael
I don't
Gallup.
think Amari Cooper would be good for camera.
No.
Michael Gallup might be someone under the radar who could be really good on there, though.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe.
He was cool when we met him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Defense, DeMarcus
I think you
Lawrence.
could probably do the receivers room like they did in Cleveland. They were was OBJ there yet? I don't think so. But it
they
was
would do
Jarvis
that, though.
Landry and they loved that was the room they went to when they wanted to do in meetings. So the receivers make sense for that.
Yeah.
The coach, boring as hell.
Oh man.
Um,
I feel like he's always doing head scratching things though.
Well, he's trying to transform himself in this analytics guru, and yet it's not really taking.
yeah.
Sometimes his old instincts are getting in the way of what he has said he wants to be and wants to do. The thing is that it's not necessarily interesting from a Hard Knocks perspective. It's interesting from a football perspective.
Right.
I'd like to see the curtain peel back on Mike McCarthy a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like
You're
I
the only
want to have
person.
a 6-pack and be jacked, but my old habits keep getting me back.
The stuff that got him in trouble in Green Bay is getting him in trouble in Dallas.
Yeah.
What if Jerry says, because he wants the publicity, he probably wants it. What if he says, hey, if you guys have me on, I'll fire Mike McCarthy mid-show?
Oh my God.
Whoa.
I feel like that's something he would do.
Yeah, probably. I guess they go into second, putting the Broncos in third.
And who is one? The Cardinals.
Cardinals.
They stay above.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think, and I do have to throw the Dallas city in here as well. I think they would take it, and I'm going Cardinals 2.
Okay.
Broncos 3.
I feel like the coach ends up making the show. Like if the coach is really entertaining, then the show is entertaining.
That's true.
Well, sometimes, but the Bengals Hard Knocks, especially the 2009 one. I mean, Marvin Lewis is not anyone's idea of a big personality, but that was a compelling show.
Right.
But
That's
Cowboys
a little
08
too
with
early
Wade
for
Phillips
me.
was very good. That's an example for you. Like Wade Phillips has a big personality.
Yeah.
And was perfect for that show.
Even like Bill O'Brien was like a big personality and helped make the show.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cliff would love it, and he would play up to it. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
But John Gruden with the Raiders should have been a good Hard Knocks, and it was terrible.
That was the whole way they framed that, where clearly the Raiders didn't want to get into the Antonio Brown stuff, and the Antonio Brown stuff was the only thing that was interesting about them. Like that's what ruined the whole show. Is everyone tuned into every episode thinking like, oh, they're gonna do the Antonio Brown frozen feet thing. And then like it was like 2 seconds and he was fine. They're like he's fine, and then it was just like okay.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And so I just think with the Cowboys, Jerry would pretend like he's the head coach.
I'm sure he would steal the limelight.
It's worked in the past for Hard Knocks when they've had him on there. I mean, Jerry's a personality.
Yeah.
So Mase, who's your one?
My one is Dallas because I think this is the show. The Cowboys are the ones that are most likely to let Hard Knocks offer an unvarnished view of things. And it's a compelling team in general, but the fact that again, from the top down, they're comfortable with their warts being on display.
Right.
And yet with everybody else, I feel like the image-conscious instincts will come into play to where it's going to just be too shiny and it's not going to be as compelling a product. So I've got to go Dallas 1, Arizona 2, Denver 3.
So then let me throw one more team in. What if the Jags say, throw us in? We'll take those off. Where do they fall?
They're number one.
They're number 1.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, the fact that you could even get Tebow involved, like swings ratings heavily.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like everyone's rooting against Urban Meyer. I know I personally am.
Why? The CSU thing with him?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
I mean, I thought anyone connected to CSU, you're just like, I can't. I can't. I just can't.
It gives me more of a reason.
That's why it's incredible. You've said good things about Shaq Barrett.
Great guy.
Shaq is one of the best human beings I've been around. By the way, I ordered my Shaq Barrett Buccaneer Super Bowl bobblehead.
Nice.
Can't wait to add it to my home collection.
We love to see it. I just think Urban Meyer's a douche.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, then.
I mean, he's got like plenty of skeletons that we could go through, but
Oh, if he does.
How long does he last there? That's
also
the-
like the
that's
fact
the
that
other
he
thing.
just thought like this was college all over again. He's like, oh, I'm going to bring in my extremely problematic strength coach, and since I'm the guy, no one will say anything about it. And like grown ass men who make more money than him were like,
No, you're not.
dude, what do you think you're doing here?
Yeah.
grown-ass men aren't happy with Tebow being brought in.
Absolutely.
I mean,
like I feel like he's coming in here so cocky, and I just want him to fail.
Don't you think that's also a reason why Hard Knocks could be really good? Is because he
Yes.
would do
There's
something like that. Like
That's what I mean. Everyone's
there's-
rooting against him. That's
There's
a
such
thing.
train wreck possibility with that with Jacksonville.
Yep.
And that's again, how much do they kind of polish out that on, or do they just let it go? I mean, because you're going to have players. This is why reason I would watch the Jaguars. You have players that would probably that'd be mic'd up and would probably have some snide comments about Tebow being out there, because a lot of players feel that, and this is not just true in Jacksonville, but around the league. They feel that he is taking the spot of somebody who deserves a shot.
And I actually push back on that a little bit. If he legitimately makes the team, it's not as if he's not a great athlete.
Right.
We know he is.
But you're asking him to learn a new position, and what's the upside? The dude, I mean, he's 30.
Okay, but what's the upside of Eric Saubert or whatever his name is on the Broncos?
Right.
Well, Eric Saubert's going to be a legit 2 or 3 tight end. Saubert's going to get playing time. What you're talking about is the guy.
It's the upside of Jeff Hireman.
What you're talking.
Jake Butt.
What you're talking about is he's taking the spot of one of those reserve future guys. Somebody who's maybe he's been in the AAF or the XFL and he's on the fringe. But we know from a guy like Shelby Harris. I mean, that guy, he was practice squad. He was just hanging on. What he did with that shot, we've seen enough players that look to be in kind of that final 5 or 6 roster spots over the years that end up making the team and restoring their careers. And that is the guy whose spot Tebow is taking away.
You think Eric Saubert's going to get legit playing time?
Yes. Because he's the best blocker in that room right now.
I'm just happy I got his name right.
It's impressive.
I just think if Tebow scores 1 touchdown, then it was worth it.
I would take the over.
Well, they have to be creative. And I'll say this, like with Tebow, the best use for him could be as a 2-point conversion chaos quarterback.
So isn't that a good thing to have on your roster as a 53rd guy?
If they use him like that,
I
I don't know if they're going to use him.
Absolutely.
If you could tell me right now that Tim Tebow could be your 2-point conversion quarterback and you could convert 2/3 of your 2-point conversions if he was out there, I'd say fine. I'm going to keep him on the roster. I'm going for 2 every time because over the season, that's going to mean about 16 more points.
Yeah, I mean,
potentially on average.
I just think like I was just saying, like some other guy who would be your 3rd or 4th tight end, like you can do more with Tebow. And I think if anyone's going to, it's Urban Meyer who like invented Tebow.
Especially in training camp when he's really taking the place of a 5th string tight end.
Yeah.
And then I think if he makes the roster, that means you do have a package to use.
Austin Fort?
Yeah.
Like that's that's the role he's playing for them.
If he makes it, good for him. But if he doesn't, but they have to figure out how to use him. And if they're bent on him only being a tight end,
There's no way they are.
then it's not a viable path, and that spot would be better served going to another guy who deserves the shot.
The only reason I think they put the tight end symbol next to his name is to not deal with the quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna come in and compete with Trevor Lawrence, like, and there would be psychos saying that all over the place.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we're gonna list him as a tight end to save any controversy when it comes to that.
Well, then there's the next level of thinking, which is that Tebow is there just to deflect attention from Trevor Lawrence as he develops.
Honestly, that's like 4D chess. That if they're trying that, I'm cool with that too.
Also, do they not trust Trevor? I mean, he's just been on the biggest stage the last 3 years you can possibly be in college football. It's not like he's Carson Wentz coming from North Dakota State. I mean, that's just silly.
And every
You were
report
talking
on
about
Lawrence
this,
is good right now. That's
You were talking about this before the show, saying like it's unbelievable how much Trevor Lawrence has stayed out of the headlines.
Yeah,
like no one's
it's
really
true.
talking about him, and maybe that's all by design.
Yeah, it could be. That'd be something else.
Then they unleash him in week 1, and they find out, they already have a top dozen quarterback right out of the gates.
Yeah,
Which wouldn't surprise me at all.
Laviska Shenault just lights up the world.
Man, and then week 2, Broncos sphincters get a little tight.
Hey, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am glad the Broncos get Jacksonville week 2 and not week 1.
Yeah.
Week 1, I'd be very worried about that game, the element of surprise. Week 2, at least you're giving Vic a week of film to dissect.
Totally.
And I like the Broncos' chances then. I would not like the Broncos' chances if the game were the season opener.
Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of new wrinkles that you would have to be worried about for sure. Last thing, just to tie a bow on this. Do you want the Broncos to get Hard Knocks?
I do, yeah, because I think it would give us even an inside look. You know, we get a better inside look than fans because we're there. We literally behind the scenes. But Hard Knocks goes even further than anyone in the media is allowed. And so we'd be able to see some things we don't see and then build off those storylines.
And I think that Hard Knocks leaves, like, because it ends at the end of training camp, it leaves some loose ends that you can go tie and, you know, or it creates some low-level stars, to put that in air quotes, that like, you know, we could do a fun show with or whatever. Like, I'm with it. There was a time that I wasn't, and I admitted it was like out of jealousy. Like, I was like, I don't like that HBO is going to get so much more access than us. But I mean, we went a whole season with no access at all. Like, now I'm like, give us something. And I also think there's some really awesome personalities on the team that would be great to be showcased, like a Shelby Harris, who becomes like a national sweetheart because he was on the show.
Yeah. The one reason why I don't want to see the Broncos is if it's not very good, if it's like the Hard Knocks of the last couple of years with the Raiders and the LA teams, then and this is purely selfish on my part, then I'm having to watch this every week covering the team, and it's boring, and I feel like I'm wasting my time. If you could tell me a Broncos Hard Knocks was going to be as compelling as some of the late 2000s, early 2010 editions, sign me up. But if it's like the Raiders a couple of years ago, then the juice isn't worth the squeeze, as our friend Ben Albright would say. And I that's not worthy of my time an hour a week. So that's why I am skeptical. Is I don't want to waste my time watching a boring show, and yet if it's the Broncos and it's boring, we still have to watch it.
I think that, first of all, I will give you permission to not watch it if you don't want to.
But then we talk about it the next day, and I'm lost.
Second of all, I think if the Broncos are on it, there's just no way it wouldn't be interesting to us. As Broncos people.
But maybe not people out in New
Right.
York.
It might not end up being a great season of Hard Knocks for the person in New York. For us, it's going to be interesting. Like, I would say a 99% chance.
And that's fair, because I'm not sure how much the nation was interested in the Bucs back in, I believe, 2017. But as a Bucs enthusiast, it was interesting to me watching Jameis Winston, even though he didn't always acquit himself well. That was the eat the dub.
The dub year.
Yeah.
Cepho also didn't make himself look great on that.
Oh, no.
On that season.
He didn't.
That was a tough scene. All right. I think that wraps it up for this conversation. That was fun. You know, we always
goes in some directions we didn't expect, as always.
Didn't expect Hard RK to make it on here, but all right. That's going to wrap it up for us on the live side. We are going to take it to the podcast side. You can catch the rest of the show anywhere you download podcasts, and we'd love if you did so. Of course, you can also leave your comments there if you're a DNVR member, and we'll get to those right now. But for now, on the live side, that's going to wrap things up.